wish, I wish, I wish. I wish, I wish, I wish. I wish, I wish, I wish. I wish, I wish, I wish.
And now you see my song, the radio was banging.
Okay, welcome back to City Talk. Actually, this is City Talk 5. I'm here with Michael Langford. Michael, thank you for joining me again. And just want to ask you what's going on here lately.
Well, man, if you're living in Salisbury, then you know about the sign wars going on.
Do I?
You just, everywhere you go, there are different signs all over. At county, too. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle there.
It's that time of year, but actually I've noticed that there's some signs over on a spot that it was kind of a hot topic for a while there, over at Lot 10, which is right across from the Royal Farms downtown area.
Yes.
I noticed you got a really big sign there for a person running for delegate, Josh Hastings, and of course there's a medium sign there for Megan Alton. They're both on Shore Progress. Who owns that piece of property? Let me ask that first.
So it's owned by Mentis Capital Partners, which the CEO of that is Nick Simpson.
Okay, so he purchased it because I know they used to have these weekend flea markets out there. So and I know there was a lot of vendors that were out there. They actually, I used to like going out there, but they were upset because that went away. So he was the one that bought it.
Yeah, so he bought it. You'll also see, like, in the past, there was this controversy about no parking, right? So because they couldn't get the building permits to build on the lot that would take away the parking, they were going to remove the parking, was the logic somehow. But so what has replaced, as you said earlier, the signs that said no parking, even though people are parking there for the courthouse all the time still, without any issues, is my understanding. But now it's replaced by political signage.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, I know the reason why they weren't able to build there is because of somebody voted against it, right?
No, they're just in the permitting process, and they could not get the building permits.
Okay. So in other words, if the right person was elected, they could get the building permits.
They need to provide a viable plan and model, and they haven't provided that. That's it.
Okay.
They own the property, so they have every right to build on it. But you have to build something congruent with the zoning code.
That part, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And they were having they were at odds with, I think, with the mayor on what they could do with that piece of property.
Yeah.
So again, it became a political matter.
Yes.
Coming back to these signs. As a matter of fact, one of the signs is somebody who ran against our now current mayor. Is there something going on with that?
So I think that you see, Nick Simpson, who's, clearly supporting by putting those signs on his property, clearly like helping those campaigns. And I think and this is something I've been talking about for years now, where there's just local developers, people acting locally, even if they're not locals from here, right? But people acting in our local context as a business enterprise that are trying to get projects through. Now,
wait. This Nick Simpson, this is the same one that was actually at one of our council meetings, and he said that the city has become anti-development.
Correct. Yes,
Okay,
and this is the same person who built the Ross and gets 20 years of tax abatement. Same company, same person.
Another political situation.
Correct. Okay. Admired with Jake Day's hand all over it, right? And then so now, just to pivot slightly. Same campaigns and different developer, but the same kind of maneuver that you see right now. You also see, along with Nick Simpson showing up in council chambers, you see David Layfield of Green Street Housing. This is Deshaun Doughty's old boss.
Okay.
He's contributed to Josh Hastings' campaign financially. Josh has defended him online.
Interesting.
And Lot 30, which is currently across from Mad Hatter,
Yes,
down at the bulkhead downtown.
They used to always have a lot of water, but they're doing something out there here lately.
They're bolstering the bulkhead there so they can build theoretically this project that David Layfield has proposed, which is going to be about 51 apartments. And the first floor it'll be mixed use commercial. So the first floor is businesses, and then 51 apartments above that, and then 22 parking spots. That's his proposal, and so that's what he can't get a permit for.
Let me make sure we're in the same spot, okay? Because my dad has actually worked at Purdue for 51 years, so that area I'm used to a little bit. And I know they're working. You said they're working on building up the bulkheads to try to stop. Okay, because drainage has been a problem there for a while.
Yeah, it floods.
But not only that little area when those drawbridges is up, it can be really congested. How are you going to get in and out of that area?
I mean, the waterway, I guess, will still be clear, but that's not a lot of land there.
No, that's
to
what I'm saying.
build a lot, yeah, and
fire. But I'm saying, you got to have a fire lane, and when those bridges are up, the people reroute and go down that way. You're not gonna be able to get a fire engine. God forbid something happens. So how is all that gonna work in that small little area?
I don't know. I mean, it seems fraught with issues like what you're saying, and 22 parking spots.
That's not very much.
If you have 51 apartments,
that's what I'm saying.
And then you got 22 parking spots. What happens for those businesses?
They're going to try to park probably in Purdue's parking spot in Brew Rivers, and if they don't have permission, they're going to get towed.
Yeah, it seems like it could create a whole mess. But so the city, you'll see in David Layfield's comments how there is no. He was, I guess, trying to appeal to the common man, and instead of donning his suit, the second time he came to speak recently, he was wearing a Blink 182 shirt, and in that
it was a good group.
You can run good group, but he's talking about how there's no parking requirement. Well, he would know that since he purchased the property, his company purchased the property. The city sold it to him to Green Street Housing for $10,001 in 2016. Jake Day in 2018 removed a parking minimum from the downtown area with Ordinance 2506. So we sell this man this land for less than what it's most likely worth, by declaring it surplus to the city. We sell it for less than what its market value is if we just went to a realtor and had them sell it because it's land. Land's not losing value. Everybody knows this.
Right.
And then after selling it for cheaper than what it's worth, he then removes the barrier that would prevent him from doing this business plan with only 22 parking spots. So now he is technically correct in that we don't have a parking minimum required within the downtown zone. But if you can't see what's wrong with the way in which that sequence of events carried out, in which you're, I don't know what to do for people that can't see that. But it's very concerning because, again, this person is supporting Josh Hastings. And you start seeing that these people, Megan Outen and Josh Hastings, who are Shore Progress affiliates, that are being backed by that political action committee, as well as these local developers, you really start to see this, what I've called... out-of-town
developers, too, a lot of them.
Yeah, and even if they live here, to me, it's like, are you there... When you're being elected, you're supposed to be the people's representative. You're supposed to represent people, not business interests.
No.
And what's wild is we both know that Megan Outen and Josh, tend towards the Democratic left side, which I don't have any problem with, but in the sense of that I affiliate likewise. But this is my problem with Josh and Megan is that they don't stand on the values that good, upstanding liberal people are supposed to stand on, which is to be against private business interests trampling local. Local people and stuff by doing things like this that are very selfish and aren't going to work out. What business could prosper with no parking? Well, you know what I mean? People.
That part, and the other concern that I started thinking about, because you said Green Street, that's low income, right?
Yeah, they're part of the low income housing tax credit program, I believe, which is a federal program in which they get they provide a certain amount of their apartments will be rent controlled.
Okay, so my concern is over that area we had and I'm not saying that this gentleman will be, but there was a lot of what you would call slumlords over that side. And if you stack people on top of people without doing the proper screening, you're really causing a big problem for Salisbury. Now, and then add in the fact that you have very limited parking. You know, you have a plant right beside it. All of this is going to lead up to things happening in the wrong direction, my opinion. That's, You know, no, I know this isn't in my opinion, but in my opinion, this is not a good idea there. Now, it seems like there's a lot of developments happening off of Fitzwater.
Yeah.
Because when we go down the street there, well, there's some needs to be questioned, like the whole dollar transfer a piece of property over there. But
the city marina.
Yeah, which was not under our current mayor, but the one before.
But Jake Day again.
Right. Well,
So
the one before that
all
one,
of these. So the Ross deal, the lot 10 deal, the Ross with the tax abatement, the lot 30 deal that we're talking about, and that city marina for $1. That's all Jake Day. Right. And so he's presenting this as we're developing housing. We need housing. There's this demand for housing. Here's how we meet it. But the problem with that is that you're benefiting clearly a select few limited number of people that are Nick Simpson, David Layfield, Joey Gilkerson, Brad Gillis. When we can see the usual suspects taking place. And it's wild again to me that the Democrats that are so mired within identity politics nowadays are supporting rich white men getting richer. That's what you guys are backing up. And those are the people for these progressive candidates on Shore Progress. The so-called progressives are just like shilling for these people, and they're shilling right back, right? So that's why we see the sign war thing going on with Alton and Hastings.
Yeah. So does that mean
10.
if they get elected, does that mean they're going to become advocates for these developers?
And that is, and you can see online. I've seen Josh Hastings be that way, and they'll just present it as, oh, it's just this reasonable thing. It's not nefarious, and it's like. You can say that, but like since you're getting campaign contributions from these individuals, and then you're pushing their agenda, which again, you don't have to be
this
a developer.
makes people hate politics right there.
Yeah,
Really?
and that's why.
The good old boy, scratch my back, I scratch yours, kind of a thing.
And then don't present to me. Then don't make it even worse when that's what you're doing by lying to all of us like we can't see it. You know what I mean?
Right,
that we
right.
can't see that that is just this same old system. Instead of something progressive, instead of change that you can believe in, or because local matters, you have people that are just going to sell out to what people at the state want. We're going to lose local control and over our processes and having a say over what takes shape in our town.
And again, thank you for saying that. I really have a concern with stacking that many people in that area. I mean, you've got the development right there by Brew River.
Right.
How many how many people live in that? That's a pretty
Big complex
Yeah.
at the River
Then-
Edge Apartments.
Then right across the street, you got this new development. And you're going to be, housing. And I think that's a great development they got across the street. But you're going to be bringing in families there. And then he's
row
talking about
homes.
another.
Yeah, and then 51 apartments.
And keep in mind, you
without
got a
parking.
club. You got a club right there. This is going to cause problems. Not the club itself, because it's been there. It's not club, excuse me. Brew River is not a club, but it is a restaurant and bar.
Right.
And you've
With an
got
active
a
nightlife.
plant. So you've got a lot of things that you're trying to mix in right there. Are they trying to do it for the people, or is it for the almighty dollar?
And at the end of the day, you can go and look up campaign finance reporting and see that a lot of these people are tied to each other. And it's just like, do we really believe when the person is supposed to be a publicly elected representative, do I really believe that the person who David Layfield is contributing to, when Deshaun, who was removed for not following the rules
Right.
of living and serving people here, do we really believe that people like Megan, people like Josh are going to represent people fairly, or are they just going to do what their buddy David and their buddy Nick think?
Interesting. If they want to get into the arena of helping the unfortunate or those that don't have, maybe they should get behind the housing authority who is looking for,
Yes.
I'm just saying, this is my thought here. So now again with these sign wars, you got signs everywhere. One thing I always like to remind people are signs do not win elections.
Yeah.
I think information should. I think people who actually, I mean, how many times have you heard from these people running? I mean, actually, you were talking about Mr. Hastings and Mrs. Allen. How many interviews with any show have they done this election
And how
cycle?
often do we see them do any work in the community? We see them do
We see
cultivated
posts online.
events. We see like events that they either attend or that they throw like a meet and greet. But they don't actually have any authentic claim to community work or connection to service work. And like, I mean, really, a lot of people that come on this show are involved in a lot of different organizations. I mean, the VFW to, I mean, there's just a lot. There's a lot of different organizations that like.
Sure.
I mean, Jermichael's on more than half a dozen boards, I believe himself.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
I mean, you know, Menary's Dream Alliance. Is,
And you know the
huge.
interesting thing, a lot of people try to say, and I actually, we've been working on a forum on the West Side, and we got some opposition because people think that we're biased.
Yeah.
Bridging the Gap is here to do just that. Bridge the gap. I mean, as politically affiliated, I'm a Republican.
Right.
You're an independent. Jermichael's a Democrat. My wife's an independent. So we try to bring all together for the good of the community. But it seems like people who have these hidden agendas, and we do know those that come against us. We may not say it, but it seems like they all kind of birds of a feather. They all kind of work together there.
Or crabs of a feather.
That sounds like another episode right by itself. So, yeah. So now, have you noticed that some of these people who are pushing for developers are backed by people who are elected? Like maybe they're being people putting in contributions to their campaign, or people are elected? I did notice that there was Mrs. Blake did put a contribution to a group or an entity that backs those two candidates.
Yeah. I mean, you'll definitely see that. I mean, if you go through, you'll see the usual suspects. Some people, honestly, I've noticed. You also notice, if you go through enough, if you go into the bipartisanness and you go into Republicans and Democratic candidates, you'll see people putting money on both candidates in the same race sometimes. And it's kind of like putting money across, playing across, what's it called when you're betting on the horses? Playing the field.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right, you know what I mean? You try to cover the spread.
And I'm also noticing, thank you. And by the way, thank you for showing me how to look at some of these campaign contributions, because I'm finding that there are people or their spouses backing candidates of a different party.
Yeah.
And then their spouses on another ticket. Now, when we start to compare, that's where it's going to be interesting to see where's it all line up at.
Greed's nonpartisan too.
Interesting.
You know, I mean, people just they
Isn't that
want
interesting?
what they want. You know what I mean? And some
In
people
political
are just
season, you make friends for a reason. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real. You know.
That's why I think it's important to see what people's investment is in our communities before they're running. Like, we understand that you want to represent people, but why? And we understand that you have like a polished script as to why. But I think that if you see how people are living in our community here, I mean, if it's really about service, I mean, if it's
a good point.
if it's really about a life of service and representation, then you shouldn't. I'm not saying you can talk to all 135,000 people in the county. However, I mean,
People will know.
it has to be outside of your little bubble of your social clique.
Sure.
It can't just be about these cliques and these groups anymore. We got to
Exactly.
get beyond that.
I mean,
Bridge
it's-
the gap.
I love that. You know, that's the unique thing I like to tell people when it comes to bridging the gap. We've had people on the show that like politically do not agree with us.
Yeah.
But we can set those differences aside for a common purpose.
Yeah.
You know, I'm wondering these people who are pretending, because I've seen this in the last 4 years that I've been in politics, I've seen a lot of people pretend to be buddies until they get elected.
Yeah.
And then they kind of split ways with one another. But right now, I think that as the voter, we need to observe and start watching and seeing how these people are acting behind the scenes, not just what you see on Facebook posts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the union for the city. By the way, have you heard anything about that? It got really quiet, and I'm wondering.
It did get really quiet. I have not heard anything back from the state. They told me that with their investigation, they would not be updating me, which makes sense. I mean, if the police are investigating a robbery, they don't give me an update on the robbery. They tell me if they found my stuff. But you know what I mean? So
It's interesting we haven't heard those that were very verbal online
oh
about
yeah,
this.
they were causing all ruckus and uproar. And it is very telling that that suddenly they're like, oh, ballot issue committee?
And again, do these people, and the same people, like you said, the same suspects seem to be behind that as well.
And that's when people are paying attention. It's like it doesn't become this Republican Democratic
No.
thing. You'll see actually locally. I mean, because first off, whether you're Republican or Democrat, do you want to ride down a road that's well paved, or you want to ride down one full of potholes and mess up your axle? I mean, everybody, regardless. I mean, that's really what it's supposed to be about. Like those Republican Democrat issues were supposed to be a way to motivate people to get more involved around periphery things, but nobody was supposed to be thinking that people are the devil. You know what I mean? It wasn't supposed to be this divisive thing, and if it has become that, I just think that people need to return to those basics. You know, we talk about that here. It's just of civics and how to. It's not just about being polite for the sake of being polite. It's about getting work done for people.
Absolutely.
And if you're spitting in people's faces, like some of these people like to do online, then you're not going to really be able to work with anybody. And that's fine if you don't want to work with anybody, but then it's like, sit down.
You know, that's kind of the concern that I've seen with primaries. You know, actually, like, when I was sitting down with the county executive, she was concerned about that because it gets so heated that people don't know how to then start working together, because after the primaries, they need to start working together.
Yes.
You know, and we don't see that happen here, like locally, as much as we need to. Now, I do want to turn my attention a little bit to some of the other things that you're doing, because you're doing an art night. We're talking about City Talk. You're going to do something new here in the city with your art night?
So I'm working now with, to get to start doing a friendly, kid-friendly art night at the Newton Street Community Center.
Okay.
I'm thinking that's going to be second Thursdays of the month, but I don't have a firm set reservation quite yet. But I'll be announcing that soon, and you'll see me promoting it online.
And you're also doing the same thing. You're also doing something down on the west side.
And so West Side Community Center down by Valve, it's first and third Fridays. I'm doing art night there, and you know just what that is again for people that might just be watching this for the first time. But my art night thing is about taking, getting away from having to share beliefs within a social context. Is about that disappearing of third spaces. When people went to places like the library, it didn't matter where you came from,
Right,
and it
right.
also didn't matter what you believed. People were able to connect, in those community spaces. And so I really want to see a resurgence of people giving back in the community. So, but if you, rather than telling people, you got to lead by example. If you're telling people we need more of this, and we do need more mixing and people seeing the value. One of the things I love about art is that if you make a painting or a drawing and I make a painting or a drawing, we could even be drawing the same thing, but it'll be different. And neither of us will end up feeling like, I mean, I guess people can be this petty, but for me, I never felt there was a comparison between what you can make and what I can make.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like, if you're making something in your mind's eye, that's for you. That's David's. That's David's mark. That's your contribution. That's your gift. That's your skill to bring forward. I can't take that from anybody.
Right.
And why
right.
would I want to diminish that in anybody? You know what I mean?
Wow.
So art, I feel like, is this invitation for us to really see what's possible in each other. So when and you actually get to the point where, for me, it's about that's the value of diversity. That we have a different contribution to make individually. It's not. It's more than skin deep.
Sure.
It's who we are as people is fundamentally different. But that's not a bad thing when we can actually value that.
Now, if you make the impact at the community center on Newton that you have down there, I heard that they had maybe about 4 or 5 people looking in on their page a day. Then you showed up about 50. It went up to 50 some. Yeah. So it seems like, and the great thing is about that, you're doing it for the community. I mean, currently you're not running for anything. I'm hoping that you might do it when the city elections come around, but you are actually involved. Now, being that deep in the community, how many of these candidates you see at these things and meet people?
I can tell you that people like Jermichael Mitchell and Kenesha LaCole support me. They show up.
Don't forget April.
And Miss April Jackson. But those people all do the same kind of work. So they recognize that I have a contribution. I'm just making it around this art activity where Jermichael might make that same mark on young minds through coaching. And nobody has to, there's not really a comparison to that. It's like, why is that not just making our community better as a whole?
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I think that, and that's what I see is reciprocity is important in all relationships. And so I see that with all these kinds of people that I affiliate with a lot of times. That's what I would say is the foundation of the friendship and the easy rapport between Council President April Jackson and the Vice President Sharon DeShield.
Yeah, yeah.
While party affiliation wise,
Wow.
they might have completely different, but they're both service-minded women.
Yes.
And you will
yes.
know from both of them from seeing them in the community. I mean, Sharon, I mean, I don't.
And she's involved in the community a lot too, though.
She runs the men's cold weather shelter,
Shelter,
which
yes.
has no barriers. Nobody ever touts
Wow.
that, and it's run by this. And she was one of the. I believe she's the one running it. I mean, primarily, but I mean, I guess there's a board. But I mean, Sharon is very active and spending a lot of time feeding these men and being there at the shelter in the winter.
Wow.
And I think people would normally see that as like a bleeding heart liberal thing. And this is not to put Ms. DeShield's personal opinions out there, but it's just that people have to look beyond this surface opinion. Oh, here's this well put together white woman. She doesn't care about anybody but herself. You know, Ms. DeShield's a lovely woman who is service-minded, who's contributing member to our community.
Sure.
The same as Ms.
sure.
Jackson, the same as Mr. Mitchell. You know what I mean?
We
Same
got to
as
get away
myself.
from party politics more, and I mean, especially here locally. And one thing
Yeah.
I have to give props to, I hear this a lot from our Eastern Shore delegation, Cherie Sample Hughes. You know, she's the lone Democrat that's representing the Eastern Shore delegation. Now, granted, there are going to be things she does not agree with the rest of her colleagues, but from my here, she has a great relationship.
Yeah.
Things happen. You know, one of the things I have seen here locally is you got almost an all Democrat city council. You got almost an all Republican county, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Because nothing gets, I hate to say nothing gets done. I don't want to say that, but less gets done than should.
Because people are focused on those divisive issues. I think there's a lot of
Maybe they need to come to your art night.
and that's the thing, man, is like everybody's welcome at art night and everybody gets to make their mark and their contribution. Everyone gets to be valued and seen and heard. But it's what you do with that. You know what I mean? And it's just like it's what kind of life you want to lead. And it's just like when we go full circle back to these developers, we don't see them in the community. We see them contributing financially to something, but we don't ever see them really show up for people. And the people that they do show up for are going to be these events by Hastings and Alton, which are not real community events. They're just offers to meet them and vote for them. It's really just a veil for themselves, right?
Is
And
that
it's-
the same apartment? Excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off. Are those the same apartments you're talking about? That I remember there was this. Somebody had this idea of like right down there by the library, building all these. I don't even know which one to call it. Outlets, stores, and maybe even an apartment complex. Is this the same situation?
This is different than those. That's lot like 15, 16, and
Okay,
1.
yeah, you remember that,
Those
yeah.
are all tied up in the lawsuit, the Holly Worthington lawsuit with the developer.
Okay.
With the Gillis Gilkerson. So
So that's another developer trying to.
So that's another one of the that's what are those called?
Yeah.
I guess apartment town. Yeah,
They had
apartments.
outlets. They wanted to do so much, and I'm like, man, where are you going to park?
Yeah, and
You
that-
know, you
and
can't.
They wanted to build a parking garage as part of that project, but they wanted the city to take out a $10 million bond.
I would
And
think.
it's like, why would the city put up its financial resources that's collateral for your private development interest? That's not, and it's just like, that's the thing that I'm like, you would think this would be Republicans based on the rhetoric of our country, right? You would think that the greedy business people, you're like, oh, these people got to be Republicans, these fat cats right here, but it doesn't work that way. In real life, when you
Right.
pay attention, it's like,
money brings greed.
and at the end of the day, if
know,
that's
the
the
love of
person
it.
they serve, if that's the person they serve is money, then it don't matter. That's not red or blue. That's just green, and that's all that they're
That's
concerned
exactly right.
about. They don't really care about any of that part of political thing. It's just all kind of a mask, a veil, if you will. You know. But like I said, the positive thing is that if you're there in the community, then you'll see the people doing the work.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just find it really unique. As I know we're about to close up here, I just find it really unique. The picture I saw that was in the paper last week of their, remember their ribbon cutting on something over there on Fitzwater with the row houses, and
Yes,
uniquely because
townhouses.
online I don't never hear anything good come from the former mayor about the now mayor, but they're both in the same picture.
Yeah.
When it comes to photo ops, we can put away our differences there, huh? I mean, and again, I don't see the current mayor throwing shade at him, but now he ain't soft either. He will stand his ground.
Yeah, but I think he's just trying to build a legacy that is beyond just being that oppositional force.
Right.
I think that's the thing is that like if the city address,
Yeah, we call that
the state of the city, that was a great representation and vision of like what's possible financially for our future, where our money's going, which was interesting. I learned from that 52% of the city, roughly $60 billion city budget, 52% of that goes to the emergency services, fire, police, EMS, already without a union. 52% of all the taxpayer money in Salisbury.
And you think that they don't care?
And that's the thing is like you can't really take 52% of the pie, more than half, and then say that you're not being respected at all.
I mean, that's just like saying the county don't care about education when that's one of their biggest part of their budget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You kind of invest in those areas that you are most concerned with, and that's 52% is a big portion.
It's a big portion. In my experience, payroll is the only business I've ever worked for. Because I look at things, I've been an accountant before, so I look at things financially like that a lot of times. And the only business I ever worked for where assets were more than payroll was the airline. Airplanes are very expensive. Fuel is very expensive. But in general, if you run a business, the most expensive part of your business is paying for the labor.
Absolutely.
Paying people, which is important.
I mean, and you pay for what you get, or you get what you pay for. So
We're trying to do the best we can with what we got.
Wow. So before we close out here, Michael, I just wanted to personally say thank you for all that you do for the community. I mean, no matter where I go, whether I'm down there in Nanticoke, in Bival, or here in Salisbury, I hear a lot of great things about you. Of course, you're going to have those naysayers. That means you must be doing something.
Exactly.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep holding these people accountable. That's what I like to do. I had Mark Thompson, a great friend of mine, tell me a long time ago that I'm the agitator inside of the washing machine. Maybe that's the whole bridging the gap mentality. We have to keep everything moving, because if it stays still, it gets stagnant.
I agree.
And I thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate what you do.
Yes. Now, again, this has been City Talk 5 now. Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks for having me on.
And we'll be seeing you soon. Have a great one.